All right, so today we are going to be looking into AI coding tools, and specifically their impact on code quality.
Yeah?
We've got some interesting research reports here, some developer surveys, even a study guide, and they are very eye-opening. From GitHub, Get Clear.
Yeah, it's wild how fast this is all changing. I mean, these tools are everywhere now.
Oh, for sure.
Not even a novelty anymore.
Yeah. GitHub Copilot hit, what, like 1 million users in less than 2 years, which sounds amazing.
It really does.
But then you look at another survey and it says 67% of developers aren't using AI tools. So which is it?
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Is everybody using them or is nobody using them?
Well, it seems like it depends on the size of the company. Like 92% of large companies say they use AI coding tools. But smaller organizations, maybe individual developers, they seem to be a bit behind.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Big companies, more resources, faster adoption. So for those of you who maybe aren't familiar, what do these tools actually do? Think of it kind of like a supercharged autocomplete for your code, suggesting snippets, completing lines, even kind of predicting what you might want to write next.
Yeah, like having a coding buddy, just whispering in your ear, helping you out.
Exactly.
And of course, the promise is faster coding, increased productivity. And GitHub's research backs that up. Developers using Copilot report coding 55% faster and feeling 75% more fulfilled.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Sign me up. But as with most things, there's usually a trade-off.
Right.
And in this case, it's something called code churn. So think of it like, you bake a cake, looks great, you're proud of it, but a few days later, it's gone stale and crumbly and needs a major overhaul.
Oh, okay.
That's code churn. Going back and rewriting or heavily revising code shortly after you create it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And the data from GitClear is showing that code churn is increasing, like seriously increasing. They're projecting it to double in 2024 compared to, pre-AI levels.
Doubles.
Yeah.
That means more errors in production, systems becoming unstable, developers pulling their hair out trying to fix things. Not exactly efficient.
Nope.
So what's going on? Why is this happening?
Well, GitClear went a little deeper. They looked at the types of code operations, like what's being added, deleted, moved, updated, copy and pasted, find and replaced, all of that. And what they found is interesting, maybe even a little concerning.
Okay, so less moved code. I thought moving code around was a good thing.
It can be, especially if it's part of refactoring. Like reorganizing your closet, not getting rid of anything, but making it neater, easier to find things, more efficient overall.
Right.
But this decline in moved code suggests that maybe developers are refactoring less.
Yeah.
When they're using AI tools.
And why is that a problem?
Refactoring is super important for code maintainability and reusability. Without it, code can become this big tangled mess, hard to understand and update later on.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, GitClear also observed an increase in copy-pasted code.
Ah, yes, the copy and paste. We all do it.
We do.
Well, why is that such a problem here?
Because it goes against a fundamental principle of coding. DRY, don't repeat yourself.
Right.
Duplicated code makes long-term maintenance a nightmare. If you need to change something, you have to do it everywhere. Increases the chances of errors. It's like having multiple versions of the same document. Things get out of sync, and it's just chaos.
So less refactoring, more copy and pasting. Are we seeing a pattern here? Are these AI tools maybe encouraging some shortcuts and sloppy coding habits?
It's a great question. And it's something that developers themselves seem to be noticing. In one GitHub survey, the top concern among developers shifted from collaboration to code quality when they started using AI tools.
Interesting. So it's like they're saying, hey, these tools are great for speed, but I'm not so sure about the quality. So now let's dig even deeper. Why might these tools be causing these issues? Is it the tools themselves or something else?
Well, the current AI coding tools have some limitations. For example, they're great at adding code, but not so good at improving existing code.
So it's like they're giving you all these new Lego bricks, but no instructions on how to use them. You just end up with a pile of bricks.
Exactly. And the way these tools are designed, their user interface, makes it difficult for them to suggest refactoring or deleting code. Plus, the algorithms, they're optimized for acceptance. They kind of want you to just say yes to their suggestions.
Right, so it's like a friend who's a little too eager to please, even if their suggestions aren't really the best for you in the long run. Now, how does this all connect to code provenance, which I know you want to talk about code provenance?
It's all about understanding where your code came from. Who wrote it, how it's been modified. And what's interesting is that GitClear's research shows that code created with AI help is being revised much sooner after its creation. compared to code that's written manually.
So it's not just about the type of code, it's about when those changes are happening. It seems like AI-assisted code just doesn't last as long before it needs some major revisions. So why should any of this matter to developers or even people who manage developers?
Well, if your code is constantly being fixed and changed, it raises some serious questions about the reliability and longevity of your software projects. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It might go up quickly, but it won't last, and you'll end up spending a lot of time and money on repairs.
And that brings us to a much bigger question. What does all of this mean for the future of software development?
You know what's so fascinating is that this whole thing, AI, coding tools, and code quality, it really points to a shift in how we think about software development, almost like we're on the edge of a new era.
Okay, I'm listening. What's this new era?
Well, for a long time, it's been code faster, ship faster.
Hmm?
But now with AI tools, maybe that's even faster. But it's like, is speed really the only thing? What if it comes at the cost of, code that's just brittle and full of technical debt and just a nightmare to maintain?
Are you saying we should just ditch the AI tools, go back to the Stone Age, and write every single line of code by hand?
No, not at all. It's not about ditching the tools. It's about shifting our mindset,
Hmm.
moving away from this focus on just output, like how many lines of code per minute, and more towards a more holistic view, one that really values long-term health and maintainability of the software. It's like you wouldn't build a house using the cheapest materials and just shoddy methods, would you?
No, definitely not. I would want a house that's built to last, something reliable.
Exactly, and that's where technical debt comes in.
Yeah.
Every shortcut, every copy and paste, every time we skip refactoring, we're kind of taking out a loan on our future productivity. And just like financial debt, technical debt also has interest.
Hmm.
The longer you ignore it, the harder it gets.
Oof, yeah. Imagine spending weeks or even months untangling a mess of code just to make one small change.
Yeah.
So how do we find that balance? How do we use AI tools effectively and efficiently, but without, sacrificing code quality and ending up drowning in technical debt?
Well, the first thing is remembering AI coding tools are just that, tools. They're not, a magic solution, a silver bullet. We need to be critical and strategic, not just blindly following them.
Right. So no more accepting every suggestion that pops up.
Exactly. We need to be smarter, more thoughtful about what we're putting into our projects. And that requires a deeper understanding of, good software engineering, best practices, design patterns. It's not enough to just know how to use the tool.
Mhm.
You have to understand why the code is written that way, the bigger picture.
So AI is kind of pushing us to become better software architects, not just faster coders.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's actually pretty exciting. The role of the developer is evolving. We're not just churning out code. We're shaping the foundations of, these digital systems.
I like that. It's not about being replaced by AI. It's about using it to elevate what we do so we can focus on the parts that are more creative and challenging.
Exactly. And companies like GitClear are helping with this. They're not just providing tools to analyze code quality. They're also driving the conversation about responsible AI development. Their research, especially about code provenance and how code changes, is really highlighting these potential issues.
You mentioned earlier that AI-assisted code is revised more quickly compared to code written manually. Can you talk about that a bit more? What exactly are we seeing?
Sure. So GitClear found that, on average, AI-assisted code has changed a lot within just 10 days of it being created, compared to manually written code, which usually only sees big revisions after about 30 days.
Wow, that's a huge difference. It really emphasizes those shortcuts and potential quality issues.
Yeah, exactly. It's like AI gives us a burst of speed, but then we're slamming on the brakes a few days later. And going back to fix things we maybe missed in that rush.
So what can developers do about this? How can we be sure we're writing good, maintainable code, even when we're using these powerful AI tools? Because they're not going away, are they?
No, they're here to stay, and they're only getting better.
Right.
And that's why it's even more important now to be mindful when using AI for coding.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that balance between using these tools and keeping our own critical thinking and problem-solving skills sharp.
So no more autopilot.
Right.
Stay engaged, stay critical.
Exactly.
And remember that AI coding tools are just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, they can't replace good software engineering practices.
You're talking about things like writing clean, well-documented code, following design patterns, testing your work thoroughly.
Exactly. And those practices become even more important when you're working with AI. Think of it like you wouldn't just blindly trust a GPS in a new place. You'd still look at a map, check for landmarks, make sure you're going the right way.
Yeah, of course.
It's the same with AI coding tools. We need to see their suggestions as a starting point, not the final answer. We need to check them, understand why they're suggesting it, and make sure it fits with our project and our quality standards.
So it's all about being a little skeptical. Don't just trust the AI blindly. Question it, test it, make sure it makes sense for your project.
Absolutely. And remember, the best AI coding tools are meant to be partners, not dictators. They're there to help you, not to replace your judgment.
It's a partnership, not a surrender. We bring our human expertise and critical thinking, and the AI brings its speed, efficiency, and all that knowledge.
Exactly. And when that partnership works well, when we find that balance between human and AI, that's when the magic happens. We can create software that's not just functional, but elegant, maintainable, and built to last. So we've been talking about all the cool things AI coding tools can do, but there are always, those bigger questions looming about what this all means in the long run.
Right, we can't just ignore the potential downsides. And one that comes up a lot is the impact on, developer skills. If AI is doing more of the coding, does that mean developers will become less skilled?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. Definitely something to think about. It's like if you're always using a calculator, do you forget basic math?
Right.
Same idea with coding, right? If we rely too much on AI to write the code, do we lose our ability to think for ourselves and solve problems?
So it's like any skill. If you don't use it, you lose it. But on the other hand, maybe AI tools could free up developers to focus on, higher level tasks so they can actually develop new skills that are even more valuable in this AI-driven world.
Absolutely. That's where the real opportunity is. It's not about AI taking our jobs. It's about using AI to level up.
Mm.
Imagine AI handling all the boring, repetitive stuff, like writing boilerplate code or finding those little bugs. And developers could focus on the big picture, the architecture, the problem solving, the really creative, innovative stuff.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty great, actually. But how do we make sure developers are using that time to learn and grow and not just getting, complacent?
That's where mentorship and training are crucial. Senior developers, team leaders, they need to guide junior developers, help them learn the right skills, keep them curious and engaged. It's about creating a culture of learning where AI is a tool, not a replacement.
So we need to shift our perspective, right? See AI as a collaborator, not a competitor.
Exactly.
And like any good collaboration, we need to communicate, be open about the challenges and opportunities of using AI for coding.
For sure. We need to talk about things like code ownership, responsibility, bias in the AI, transparency, and figure out best practices and guidelines so AI is used ethically.
Right, it's not enough to just have cool technology. We have to make sure it's used for good, for the benefit of everyone. Now, something that's been on my mind is this whole idea of code ownership. If an AI tool writes some code, who owns it? The developer, the company that made the tool, or even the AI itself?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one, still being debated. And the legal side of AI and intellectual property is a bit of a mess right now. But it's super important to start thinking about this now.
Yeah, because imagine if an AI tool writes some code that, violates someone's copyright or has a security flaw. Who's to blame?
But exactly. That's why transparency and accountability are so important. Developers need to know the limitations of these AI tools. And companies need to be upfront about how their tools work, what data they use. We also need ways to check and monitor AI-generated code to make sure it's good quality, secure, and follows the rules.
So it's not just about the code, it's about everything around it. The tools, the data, the people, the processes. We need to think about this holistically. It's not just a technical challenge, it's a societal one too.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to trust. Developers need to trust the tools. Companies need to trust their developers. And we all need to trust the software that's being created. And building that trust takes open communication, collaboration, and a commitment to doing things the right way.
It's like we're on this big adventure exploring uncharted territory. There will be challenges, but also amazing discoveries. But by working together, being open to possibilities while being aware of the risks, we can navigate this new world and use AI to build incredible things.
I love that. That's a perfect way to put it. It's such an exciting time to be a developer. We're right at the beginning of something huge. And what we do now will shape the future of software. So let's be open-minded, collaborative, and respectful of the power of AI.
Well said. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a glimpse into what's coming. AI coding tools are here to stay, and they're only going to get more powerful. The key is to use them wisely, ethically, and never stop learning. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Deep Dive.